I think it's funny when people say, oh, dowsing's all in your head, it's all made up, it's a whole bunch of nonsense. Well, you should live in this house and see how we use it on a practical and even daily basis. One of the things that throws people off is when I ion test, I use a pendulum when I'm looking for ions. And if my body wants something and I'm within 6 inches of it, I will get a twitching of my hand, and it will cause the pendulum to either twitch clockwise or counterclockwise. Clockwise is if my body wants it, counterclockwise is if my body doesn't want it. And what throws people off is that if I hold my hand steady or brace it against something, the pendulum will still move, but I can still feel the twitches in my fingers, but it will look as if the hand is not causing it to move at all. And yet that's deceptive because it makes it look like the pendulum is moving on its own, but I know it's not, it's my hand. So I try to stay far away from the deceptive part of it and just let my hand do its natural twitching. And then people will say, well, I can see your hand moving it, you're moving it. Yeah, that's the inadvertent twitching of the hand. But one of the ways that we know how it works, or that it works, is simple things like this. I mean, we store our batteries right here in the fridge. It's like if I want a AA battery, we've got store-boughts, we've got rechargeables, and you don't know of a rechargeable, how long it's been in there, if it's dead or not. So what I'll do is I'll take some batteries out, put them on the counter, and a normal battery will actually spray ions out the end. That's why if you buy a long shelf life battery, it does not spray the ions out the end, and it doesn't wear itself down just in storage. They'll last for a long time. But I can by putting the pendulum over it. I get no movement. That means that battery's dead. And look at it, and that is a rechargeable battery. It needs to be recharged. And let's check this one. Nothing. No charge. And that's, again, a rechargeable, has to go into the charger. This one here, I'm getting a positive ion spray coming out the end of it. This battery has a good charge. And I do this quite frequently whenever we need batteries, and if I take these and put them in like an electric toothbrush, it will not run because they're dead. I take the ones that read that they're charged, put in an electric toothbrush, and away you go. So people say, oh, it's a bunch of nonsense, it's all in your head. Well, how can we detect which ones are charged and which one is not? Now, another example of what I used for the pendulum for was the other night I got up and I just felt restless, and I figured I needed some magnesium, and my wife was sleeping. I wasn't about to wake her up, and I didn't know where in the house the magnesium was. I didn't want to turn on the lights and wake everybody up. So I did a dowsing, and what I do for dowsing is I put my hand out and concentrate on magnesium. A tracking field will go off my hand, which has a negative ion charge, and it will find the marker field, which is a vertical field coming from a source of magnesium. And because this is a negative ion charge, I have a high negative ion charge myself. When the pendulum is in that field, it can detect that negative ions. So I'm up here in the dark, trying to be very, very quiet, send out the tracking field, and I'm getting the negative ions are tracking, and over here she had a bottle of activated charcoal. And I tested the activated charcoal, and that particular brand from that particular factory, from that particular tree, was high in magnesium. It's like, well, that's not what I'm after. And so I thought, well, they could be in the cupboard, they could be down here, they could be in the hallway. So let's try over here next. So I sent out the tracking field, just stuck my hand out. The tracking field found something over here. So I put this into the beam of the tracking field to find out where it was going. And the tracking field went right to here and stopped. It didn't go any further. It was right here. And what I'm looking for is the marker field, which runs up and down, but the marker field takes the path of least resistance. So if it's under this counter, it's not going to go through the counter. It's going to go around the counter. It's going to go around the edges of it. So I checked and went down. It was going right down here, so I knew it was somewhere lined up here. So I thought, well, what do we got here? Let's pull it out. Oh, there we go. There's the magnesium right there. So here I was in the dark, trying to be very, very quiet, not wanting to wake everybody up, and I was able, with my second attempt, to find out where the magnesium was. So it's very practical.